We can get started if you grab a seat, if there are any in the back there. It's great to see everybody. Good morning, Williston, and welcome families and guests, especially you seniors who are sitting here right in front of me, to our annual January induction ceremony to the National Cum Laude Society. What a beautiful winter day it is out there. It's a crisp winter day, but it feels balmy to me compared to the earlier part of the week when I'm walking around campus and I could barely move my hands afterwards. Today, we celebrate truly outstanding academic achievement. The inductees this morning represent the best of what we aspire to in our classrooms, as well as in the solitary efforts that take place when nobody's watching. Just as a contextual note, this society, the National Cum Laude Society, is the high school equivalent of Phi Beta Kappa, which happens in colleges and universities. And both of these scholarly societies recognize students who attain seriously lofty academic heights. The seniors we honor today have demonstrated attributes that everyone possesses. We're not talking about superpowers, but I bet you have some of those too. They have used their gifts and talents to a degree and with a consistency and persistence that's unique and admirable. Being a cum laude scholar requires dedication, determination, tireless effort, and talent. And if you think about it, those are really ingredients of just about any successful person in life. While each of you we recognize this morning is a unique individual, I bet you have one thing in common: too many nights with too little sleep. Scholars, after all, tend to defy time. You guys don't love a shot clock. I bet you inductees have the ability to concentrate for long hours on a single topic, or wake up early to polish a paper, or stay up late in the Math Resource Center to finish a problem set, or to keep late nights in an art studio or practice room. But sometimes I wonder, wouldn't your lives be a whole lot easier if you scored a couple of quick TikToks and made bank as an influencer? Aren't they all like 18 years old anyway? Or think about this one. Let's go to your parents. Think how easy your life would be if your parents had managed to buy $100 worth of Bitcoin when it was 40 cents in 2010, just over 15 years ago, 2010. If you want to do the math and the calculations right now, that's about $20 million today. But no, you toil on intellectual pursuits with no clear landing zone in sight. So let me suggest a couple of runways for you. I hope each one of you, whom we are about to recognize, will keep on doing exactly what you are doing. That you always place the pursuit of knowledge at the top of your to-do list, that you never lose the inner sense of satisfaction and pride that comes from knowing you crushed a test, that you privilege reading above scrolling, and you keep shooting for other impressive academic opportunities as they're presented to you in the future. When Mrs. Hill and I had the good fortune of being in Oxford, England, over Thanksgiving and touring many of the historic colleges, I took photos of someplace I'd never seen before, the Rhodes House, which is the impressive grounds and Gothic buildings dedicated exclusively to the use of Rhodes Scholars. There are only 32 Rhodes Scholars awarded to college seniors every year. And you may not have heard of Rhodes Scholarships before, but I'm sure you've heard of people who have been winners. Bill Clinton, George Stephanopoulos, Cory Booker, Wes Moore, Susan Rice, Rachel Maddow from Northampton. The list goes on and on. Maybe some of you today will aspire to win a Rhodes Scholarship, or one of the other prestigious collegiate recognitions like Watson Fellowships, or Fulbrights, or Marshall Scholarships. I mention them since you should have them on your radar screen starting next year. You should aspire for further academic recognition because what you've accomplished at Williston has set you on that path to those accomplishments. So congratulations, inductees and parents and family members. Thank you, faculty, for spurring these young scholars on. And I'll now turn the program over to Academic Dean Kim Poland, Co-Secretary of Williston's Chapter of Cum Laude.
We gather today to honor 13 seniors who we will induct into the Cum Laude Society. Induction into the Cum Laude Society is the highest academic award that the Williston Northampton School faculty can bestow. In celebrating such academic excellence, we celebrate our fundamental mission: to inspire students to live with scholarly purpose, intellectual passion, and personal integrity. The Cum Laude Society is a national honor society modeled on Phi Beta Kappa. Williston Academy joined the society in 1921. The Northampton School for Girls received its charter in 1951. And in 1971, the society granted the merged Williston-Northampton School a new charter. All of us gathered here can take inspiration from the three ancient Greek words that form the motto of Cum Laude: arete, meaning excellence; dike, meaning justice; and time, meaning honor. Excellence, justice, and honor can characterize the life each of us chooses to lead. And the faculty applaud everyone here and at Williston who strives to live a life so inspired. Moreover, we thank you, families. We hope that you'll enjoy today as a reflection of your influence upon your students' lives. Please remember to thank all of those people who have helped you grow your roots and your wings. As we nurture your curiosity and persistence in the search for beauty, truth, and justice, you, students, have taught us much about language and art, about math and science, about history and philosophy and faith, and above all, about a love of learning. Because we live in uncertain times, your effort matters. You remind us that learning remains a fundamentally progressive, optimistic, and democratic enterprise. In you, we witness what can be accomplished by a wonderful mixture of human potential and hard work. And we catch a glimpse of a brighter future. May you embrace the opportunity to improve an ever-changing world. As I call your name, please come forward to receive your membership pin from Cum Laude Secretary Tom Johnson, and a certificate from Cum Laude President Beatrice Cody. After pausing for a picture, you may return to your seat. Isabel Baxter Paris. Jack Berrien. Yan Sao. Aster Karlstrom. Carter Cleary. Sebastian Enriquez. Joaquin James. Dionysus Lively. Alyssa Matriciani. Daniel McBride. Juwan Park. Ellie Parsons. Maya Zessiger. Inductees, please stand for your formal induction. Ms. Cody will read the charge.
Your exemplary record in academics and citizenship has earned for you membership in the Cum Laude Society, a fellowship of scholars whose purpose is to recognize and promote excellence in academic work. It is our hope that you will accept the honor of membership as a responsibility to strive for similar excellence in all future endeavors and to contribute to finding solutions to the major challenges that are facing your generation and our world. On behalf of the faculty, I want to thank you for your consistently strong effort and interest. Your commitment to the highest level of academic work has inspired your classmates and your teachers. By the authority duly granted me as president, it is with great pride and pleasure that I welcome you into the Williston Northampton chapter of the Cum Laude Society. Congratulations.
Congratulations, y'all. That's awesome. It's an incredible pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Sarah Fay, class of 2011, since I remember not that long ago when she was sitting where you guys are today when she was a senior. At Williston, Sarah was not just a distinguished scholar, and she was all that, earning the White Blazer and valedictorian recognition at graduation. Her exploits, moreover, on the field hockey field and squash teams, co-captaining both, I think, were equally impressive. She continued her playing career while attending the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, after Williston, and I suspect that she would say that some of the attributes of scholarship that I mentioned earlier apply to competition on the athletic field as well. She holds her BA and master's and PhD degrees in mechanical engineering from MIT, and her research focuses on engineering for sports. While at MIT, Sarah collaborated with sports brand Adidas to design and test 3D printed running shoes. Currently, Sarah is an assistant professor of engineering at Smith College, just down the road, where she is using this idea of footwear design background to redesign soccer cleats to address the knee injury epidemic facing female athletes. Something I actually just learned about on National Public Radio. I just heard all about that this morning when I was out walking and listening to the reports about the women's national soccer team. So real-life applications. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome back to Professor Dr. Sarah Fay.
He claims he hasn't read my speech, but the whole thing is about how a lot of the attributes that I developed at Williston have helped me become who I am today. But good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you for having me here. Today, we're celebrating the academic achievements of the newest inductees into the Cum Laude Society. So let me say first, congratulations. On any day of celebration like this, we're also primed to spend some time in reflection and in gratitude. Looking at where we are encourages us to reflect on all the effort and growth it took to get us here, and reminds us to give thanks to those who helped along the way. As the speaker this morning, I believe my role is to help guide some of this reflection, not just for the new inductees, but for all of us. And the only way I know how to do that is by sharing my own story and some of my own reflections and my own expressions of gratitude. So what is my story? You heard a little bit about me already, but I graduated from Williston in 2011, 1-1. That's what we used to do. It's a lot easier than 2-5, whatever. I then moved to Boston and started school at MIT, where I studied mechanical engineering as an undergraduate and then immediately afterwards as a graduate student. Just couldn't get enough school. Although, as it turns out, graduate school doesn't always look like regular school. It really starts to look like research, whatever that means, which for me has its pluses and minuses. The main plus is that I work in a super cool field. I work in engineering for sports, and I did my PhD project with Adidas developing 3D printed running shoes, which I'm wearing today. And I'm hoping it means that I get to wear sneakers to work for the rest of my life. I'm particularly fortunate to have found this field because I love sports. At Williston, I played field hockey, squash, and water polo. And then I continued to play varsity field hockey and squash at MIT, and actually a little club water polo on the side. Then when I started grad school, I joined the coaching staff of the MIT field hockey team, which I continued to be a part of up until this fall when I started my job here in the Pioneer Valley. And I did a little math on this while I was preparing for this speech, and this was my first fall away from field hockey since 2004. Which, yikes. But that brings me up to date. I'm currently an assistant professor of engineering at Smith College, where I teach courses and I have my own research lab aimed at using engineering to improve accessibility and inclusion in sports. And just as an aside, a little nugget, my lab is currently working on redesigning soccer cleats to reduce ACL injuries in female players. So if you've had an ACL injury that's kept you out of sport or are interested in the topic, come find me and we can chat some more. That's the short bio. I'll dive into some of those pieces later, and again, happy to chat about any or all of it at any time. But let me pause to say that if you knew me in high school, and some of you in the audience did, you would not be surprised to hear that this has been my trajectory. Is that right? See some nods. And that's because many of the seeds of who I am now were planted during my 6 years at Williston. And I suspect many of you have already planted some of your own seeds here as well. So today I want to focus our reflection on the seeds. We're all growing our own gardens. We've all planted seeds and will continue to plant more. And what's so special is that we all get to choose which seeds we water, feed, and nurture. We get to pick what grows in our gardens. So what grows in my garden? What are the parts of my identity that I find myself nurturing the most? Well, I'm a learner, I'm a teacher, I'm an engineer, and I'm passionate about sports and the value that they bring to life. Again, many of the seeds of these identities were planted here at Williston, and sometimes in specific defining moments, and sometimes more subtly and gradually. So here's the tale of one of those defining moments and the different ways I've watered its seeds since then and how it's got me to where I am. And again, if you knew me in high school, this is not a new story. This was, by the time I was at graduation, this was a defining moment for me and my experience here, and it remains so to this day. So as I told you, I played squash as my winter sport while I was here. At the time, and I don't know what it's like now, it wasn't the most popular sport, which meant I was able to make the varsity team in 8th grade, which was 2007. The team was largely upperclassmen, and there I was, the geeky little middle schooler. I was happy just to breathe the same air as some of those cool high schoolers. But in all honesty, it was really nice to have access to role models and see real-life examples of who I could become in the next 4 years. This is one of the best benefits of the athletics program at Williston, in my opinion, and for it, I am extremely grateful. At the end of the season, we went down to Pomfret, Connecticut for an overnight to compete in the New England Squash Championship. Again, 7 mostly juniors and seniors and geeky little me. I'm even pretty sure that I packed my Rubik's Cube. This weekend ended up being the most time that we had spent together off of the court. And these moments, especially the silly hotel sleepover conversations, are what has stuck with me truly forever. It has nothing to do with what was said and everything to do with how it made me feel. These upperclassmen spoke to me like a peer, asking me about my life, telling me about theirs. It was a deep feeling of inclusion and belonging. And honestly, I've been trying for 18 years to articulate what about it made it feel so special. Maybe it was my first experience with such a deep feeling of inclusion and belonging. Maybe it was feeling those things in an environment that I didn't expect to feel them in. Either way, I was so moved by this experience, as ordinary as it may seem, that when it was all over, I felt an overwhelming desire to express my gratitude to my teammates, especially the graduating seniors. So in preparation for team night, not sure if you still call it that, okay. I wrote a speech to deliver which thanked these seniors for their contributions and highlighted the impact they each had had on me. Sounds familiar. This reflection and public expression of gratitude helped me process the experience and encouraged me to start building a list of the qualities that I wish to embody as a leader someday. For every team night and for every sport after that, and that's why I look at Ms. Pickrell, because I did it for her team for 4 years, I continued to write and share these notes of gratitude, each time further watering and nurturing the seeds that were planted during that first squash weekend in Connecticut. Fast forward to the summer before my senior year of college, my next field hockey coach, Cheryl, sent me and the other 2 rising seniors an email asking us to think about our goals around building the team culture for the coming season. While my co-captains were determined to be the fittest team in the conference and the winningest team in the conference, my response to the email read, "My goal is for us to be the happiest team in the conference. You know the Maya Angelou quote, 'I've learned that people will forget what you've said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.' I find this to be very true in general, and I think it would give us a good eye for setting our goals for this season. I have an incredible memory for numbers, birthdays, passcodes, other important dates, but I never remember the scores of our games or my squash matches. I sometimes don't even remember if we won or lost. What I do remember are the fields we played on, the music we listened to, and the silly moments and bus rides we've shared as teammates. While we have a commitment to ourselves, to the program, and to the athletic department to do our best, I don't know that our goals should be as focused on our win-loss record or a conference championship. I want to optimize, still an engineer, our moments of connection with our teammates. I think this will be the real mark of a successful season, one that we can look back on fondly." This sentiment clearly grew out of my experiences on my teams at Williston, starting with my 8th grade squash team. Fortunately for me, Cheryl, the coach, and I are aligned on this, and it was our mission to create this team culture during my senior year, but then also in the 5 years that we coached together afterwards, right up until her retirement in 2020. I'm grateful for the many years we spent together watering and nurturing this philosophy and the strong friendship that we still have today. One of Cheryl's other favorite sayings, in line with the Maya Angelou quote, comes from Teddy Roosevelt, although up until this year I thought it was a Cheryl original. Although my favorite Cheryl original is, I'm not pizza, I'm not gonna make everybody happy. But Teddy Roosevelt says, people do not care how much you know until they know how much you care. I find this to be a succinct explanation of the leadership philosophy that's been growing in me since those young middle school days. It captures my beliefs strongly enough that I included it in all of my job applications that I submitted last year. As a professor now, I aim to lead with empathy. In order for students to feel safe and comfortable engaging in the classroom and in the lab, they need to know first that they are cared for and supported in their learning. This example was set for me in many of my classrooms here at Williston, and for that I am quite grateful. Also in my job applications, I had to articulate what my research directions would be. Here's the first paragraph of the statement I wrote about my research plan. My goal as a researcher is to use the tools of design and engineering to improve equity in sports. I grew up as an athlete, playing a different sport every season up until I finished college and became a coach. My experiences in sports have shaped who I am as a person. Sports were always a safe environment for me to take risks, and they served as the classroom where I learned the importance of dedication, teamwork, and resiliency. I was fortunate enough to have the support and resources to pursue sports my whole life, but globally, access to those opportunities is not always the norm. While there are many types of barriers limiting the access that women and other marginalized groups have to sports, some of those barriers can be reduced by effective design and engineering solutions, and I am poised to create a research program to tackle such obstacles. So that's where I am today, right? Tackling those obstacles, one little engineering experiment at a time. Again, my experiences on teams at Williston and beyond were so moving to my personal growth and development that it's shaped my whole professional mission. Here, I also have to tip my hat to Adidas. Their motto is, through sport, we have the power to change lives. And it's sport because they're European, not sports. Clearly, kindred spirits. And among them, I found a team of engineers looking to use their skill set to improve the sporting experience. I'm grateful to have worked and grown under their model during the course of my PhD project. So it's safe to say that the seeds that were planted on that first trip to Squash New England's are now in full bloom, but it took my deliberate watering and nurturing to get them there, and they're not done growing. I had to fully lean in with curiosity to the feelings of inclusion and belonging and set them as the North Star for my development. Then, through years of coaching with Cheryl, they became the pillars of my identity as a teacher. And through my work and commitment to Adidas, I found a way to incorporate my passion for the holistic value of sports and community, which I developed through the whole of these experiences, into a fruitful engineering research career. Now, if we really want to run away with the gardening metaphor, we can think of today as a day of harvest, where we look back at what we grew from the seeds we planted at the beginning of our time here at Williston. Okay, actually, maybe graduation day is more of the day of harvest, and today is more like the day where the first fruits are ripe and we get to do a little taste test. Honestly, I'm not a gardener and probably should have picked a different metaphor. Alas, I do hope that hearing my story encourages you to do some reflection today. Do your little taste test and think about what it is that you've planted, what you might plant next, and most importantly, to which seeds you want to direct your attention. I believe this is especially important for those of you, like the new class of inductees, who are about to go find some new soil to grow in. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I'm glad I'm not following that. That was awesome, Sarah. Thank you so much for sharing that reflection. I'm thinking that there's something in this, in that for everyone in this audience, whether it's getting in touch with her about engineering or love of athletics or changing the world, whatever it is. I also noticed as I was sort of glancing over her shoulder that the difference between her speech and mine could not be more dramatic. Hers is in very small print, tightly packed together, which I can't see if you hold it a mile away from me, and mine's in big block letters, fatly spaced. I guess there's a little failure lesson here too. I did a little research before this morning, and I went back to the 2011 yearbook. And in the 2011 yearbook, Sarah Fay was voted most likely to return to Williston to teach. You came up just short. You're just up the road in Smith. So thank you again for that. A couple public service announcements. If you're faculty, you've got the next period free, and certainly all the families and guests and inductees. We go to my house with Mrs. Hill after for a reception. I'm looking very much forward to you all being over there. And finally, I didn't want to start with this, but it's been on my mind, so I'm going to end with it, which is that, and I know you're all aware of this, but the fires in California have been so absolutely devastating. And there are classmates here whose property lives were absolutely destroyed instantaneously, more like a tornado than a hurricane when you know it's coming along. We're still trying to find out which of our alumni of all ages lost all of their property in California. So I recognize that. I recognize it's present in this room. And I think that, as Professor Fay said, it's good to keep in mind gratitude all the time. And I am deeply grateful, and was thinking this as she was speaking, of this community, of seeing you all here together, knowing that the support you have for one another, and that we come together as a community as we need to. So thank you for that really important reminder. And this concludes today's wonderful ceremony.